Hello, ladies. Welcome to the Gayu Lewis Podcast. I'm Gayu Lewis. I'm a licensed menopause coach, and this podcast is all about supporting women through menopause and beyond. Today, we're hanging out with an amazing guest, Ketki Chandavarkar, the powerhouse behind Phoenix Method Coaching. Ketki is here to spill the beans on how she pivoted from a high flying career in fashion retail to becoming a life challenging transition coach. After burning out not once, but twice, Ketki used her own experiences to develop some seriously cool coaching techniques. She's big on making changes that stick and helping people get past whatever is holding them back in their careers and relationships. We're going to dive into her unique coaching skills, like the ACT, which is ACT, and recovery, resilience, reset methods. And hear some inspiring stories about people who've transformed their lives with her help. Whether you're looking to shake things up in your job, find more balance, or just get ready for the next big chapter in your life, Ketki's got some awesome insights. So grab your coffee and let's get started with a chat that's all about leveling up and finding your path with Ketki Chandavarkar, right here on the Gayu Lewis Podcast. Ketki, welcome to the podcast.
Wow, thank you so much. That was such an amazing introduction. So thank you for that.
Ketki, you've had such an inspiring career change, like, a transition from fashion retail to becoming like a certified transition coach. What was that, one thing that sparked this transition or the change?
The short answer are my two extreme burnouts. But really, that really sparked something that was life changing for me. It started off with just burning out because of work stress, or at least that is what I thought. But getting into this journey, I realized that burnout doesn't happen overnight. It's
Yeah.
a process that has started many, many years ago. And it's just that after some time, your brain and your body is like, okay, enough. We need to do something different. And at that moment, it's just everything blows up. And that is what it felt like with me.
Yeah.
So the first burnout that I happened was, I think, in 2018. And that is when I decided to take a break from the corporate life and decided to focus my time with my new baby.
Okay.
And I was a new mom. So I said, okay, let me take time and do this. But then I wanted to get into work again because that is who I am. I am a career woman. And I started up another entrepreneurial journey, but that didn't go so well. And then pandemic hit at the same time. So with all of these things, that's when my second burnout happened. And in I knew I needed something.
Okay.
I just didn't know what it was. I was listening to podcasts, I was reading the self help books. I even got certified at that time as a coach
Yeah.
because I came across coaching and I thought, oh, this is interesting. Let me see what I can do. But when the ball drops,
Yeah.
and when I was in that burnout phase, I could not help myself. That's when I found my own coach, Amanda Slade, and she took me through the coaching journey.
Okay.
And in that journey, not only did I recover from what I needed to recover from. But I also realized that coaching is my calling.
Okay.
And that's how I got into it. And Phoenix Method Coaching was born.
Amazing. When you say you went through two burnouts, were there something specific you felt, or I'm just asking, a lot of people probably can't put a finger to, what's happening into you till you reach that last phase when you're like, shit, I can't take one more second of what's happening.
Yeah.
Are there anything that leads to this? What was thing that you experienced yourself?
I think many things to start off with, feeling like something is not okay, feeling the stress. Even from a very young age, I've had gone through quite a traumatic childhood. But I kept telling myself, you know what, this is not going to define me.
Okay.
I'm going to see what I want to do and make my life go in that way. So from there on, I think whatever didn't agree with me or didn't feel like it was me and letting me be myself, I started suppressing it.
Okay.
And I just kept pushing through it. Many times you would hear people, oh, I am tired, but I'm just going to push through this. I'm going to make it and we'll be fine. We'll just take a 5-minute break. We'll be fine. So that whole act of pushing through, pushing through, pushing through is literally burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
And it starts off with that. And then as you join work, and then I became a new mom, and there were so many other things that were happening side by side. I think I went into, I need to be a superwoman.
Yeah.
And that type of attitude, along with being a superwoman, means I can do it by myself. I don't need help.
Yeah.
That was also something I think which added the pressure. And I think just living up to unrealistic expectations that we have of ourselves
Yeah.
sometimes. At some point, it's too much and you can't push through anymore. And I think that's when suddenly, mind and body just stops
Yeah.
working. And it was literally like my systems were shutting down. They're like, we cannot do this anymore. I don't know what more you want us to do. We've been just pushing ourselves through so long.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is how my burnout felt. And when I crashed, I couldn't think of one thing that would help me. Everything that I used as coping mechanism, maybe, one night I would sleep early,
Mm.
saying maybe if I get a good night's sleep, I'll be better. Maybe, okay, let me have this piece of cake. Or, small things
Yeah.
that felt like coping
Yeah.
mechanisms
Listen.
to me at that time before I knew anything about coaching or coaching techniques. That I couldn't even think of one of them. It didn't even appeal to me. It didn't even strike me. I couldn't think. I
Yeah.
stopped thinking. So yeah, that is how my burnout felt. And it was so out of the blue because I am such an independent, self-reliant person. And I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's so alien to me, and I'm not used to not knowing what I need. So yeah, that is what it felt like.
It's like, this can't happen to me. Like, it's
Yes.
that kind of a
Yes.
feeling.
Yes. And then there's anger after that
Yeah.
because I'm like, how can I let this happen to
To me?
myself?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah.
It was all of those
Yeah,
things.
I think it's a lot of questions. Oh, what will people think of me? Because, I've always portrayed myself as, this is
Yes.
Ketki, or this is, Gayu. And, I think there's a lot of questioning that I think we women in generally have this lot of self-induced pressure is what I
Mm.
kind of call it. I went through a personal burnout myself, which got me to coaching as well, but from another holistic side
Yes.
of health. But yeah, but I read a lot about this rushing women syndrome as well. Which is very, very popular. But a lot of people don't recognize it, where women want to do everything and they
Yeah.
want to excel in everything.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
But I think it's society created pressure, but I think more so self created as well, with, I think, just trying to prove ourselves in general. I think when I had my previous podcast with Mariam, she spoke very well about feminine energy. She
Mm.
said in today's world, we've forgotten our feminine energy and we've got a lot of masculine energy.
Yes.
Which is why lots of things are happening which affects our menstrual cycle and stuff. Of course, that's what we spoke about.
Exactly.
But I think it's all about, eventually leading to a burnout and trying to not get to that phase. Like, that's
Exactly.
the whole thing, right?
Exactly.
But I'm assuming that's where you coach people or maybe help them get, post-trauma as well. I don't know. We'll get more
Yes.
into as we
Yes.
talk about it. But I think I just wanted to bring that up.
Yes.
Uh, Phoenix Method coaching, that's your baby, I'm assuming,
Yes.
apart from the real baby that you have.
My new baby.
Yeah, your new baby. Now, what is Phoenix Method coaching and what motivated you to found this initiative?
So, Phoenix, by the name, I am always enamored by the story that this mythical bird represents.
Yeah.
So, knowing that there's this beautiful bird, and after some point of time, it burns, becomes ash, but from there rises a new, more splendid bird than before. And it was actually one of my first tattoos. Because it was a reminder to me of how far I have come in my personal journey. So it was a reminder to me that no matter what happens and whatever brings me down, I will rise again. So when I went through my burnout and came to find my calling in coaching, I thought Phoenix was the best name to give this practice, and also that explained the journey that I take my client on as well. Because the clients that I work with right now, they're feeling some sort of way and they're burning down.
Yeah.
And from there, we figure out what they need, and from there rises, and my clients have a rebirth into more splendid versions of their older selves.
What a beautiful story. Like, I actually didn't know that thing about Phoenix, but very, very nice concept. I think very, very few people actually put a lot of thought into a brand name and what they deliver. Kudos on that, I must say.
Thank you.
You do a lot of coaching methods in part of your Phoenix method coaching. Talking about NLP or neuro-linguistic programming, I know it's a lot of people have heard this term are
Mhm.
probably not aware of what it is. What is NLP, and how can it be applied in our everyday life?
So, NLP does stand for neuro linguistic programming, and it is a set of principles and techniques which help a client understand their own preferred way of doing things. So,
Okay.
right now, all of us have a pattern and a single similar pattern of how we do things. For example, take brushing your teeth.
Okay.
If your dominant hand is the right one, like for me, my dominant hand is the right one, so I brush my teeth with my right hand. Now, as I'm doing it, and because I've been doing it for so many years, when I'm brushing my teeth, I don't think about what the action I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about everything else. I'm making lists, I'm making menus, I'm making, all of these
Yeah.
different things. Now think about if this is not working out for me, and through NLP techniques, I use my left hand to start brushing my teeth.
Okay.
So, what that entails is because it's uh, your
New.
non dominant hand
Okay.
and it's new,
Yeah.
you're also you're becoming very aware of this process. You're thinking of how you're holding the brush, where is that brush reaching in your mouth, how many strokes does it take, like the amount of time you would take to brush your teeth. You're being very conscious about each and every action. So,
Okay.
that is what NLP principles and techniques are. It basically helps clients understand which patterns are working, which patterns are not working, and then help them reframe and reprogram themselves in creating new patterns.
I actually never, I personally didn't know about NLP. I've heard a lot of people and I've known people who are NLP practitioners, but never really took the time to understand. So when you're saying new patterns and new techniques, is it because it creates a sense of inquisitiveness to start something new that keeps people going? Or, and if people get into this practice, how often do they change it? Or is it like, is there a set time that you need to come back and revisit and
Yeah.
now brush with your teeth, with your legs and not with both your hands?
That would be an interesting sight for sure. But I think what happens is, and I can just take some examples where people feel, oh, I'm feeling stuck.
Okay.
Either I'm feeling stuck in my work or I'm feeling stuck in some situation in my life.
Okay.
And something is not working out. So, what is it new that I need to do, or what else can I do? That is when NLP techniques come in, and then we understand what is the pattern that happened to get them in that position,
Okay.
and then understand what they need in order to change that pattern. Because we always look at the results. The result is I'm feeling stuck. But then there are certain behaviors that came before the result that brought this result about.
Yeah.
Now, why do we behave in certain ways? Because we feel emotions before the behaviors. So
Yeah.
it's literally getting into each and every part of that pattern making process and understanding where is the issue really.
Okay.
And for some people, for example, when you think of horror movies, okay, some people will like, oh, I don't like horror movies. Or let's take phobias for
Yeah.
instance. Both of us
Yeah.
realize we don't like lizards.
Yeah.
So there are certain places we would avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now just think about it. The result is you're avoiding certain places. The behavior is, I'm going to ask someone else to do this in that certain place.
Yeah.
The emotion behind this could be fear, could be anxiety, whatever the emotion is. But before that emotion, there was a meaning that we attached to lizards
Yeah.
or reptiles. So now when we think of the reptile, we get into that emotion automatically,
Yeah.
and hence the behaviors and results follow. So that is the pattern. And no, for some people, they're not aware of that they have these patterns, which is keeping them in a stuck situation.
Okay.
So that's where NLP coaching, and that's where I come in and make them understand what this pattern is, and then we see what they need.
So does pattern again help with any addictions that people have?
Yes.
Does NLP help with if
Yes.
somebody has like a alcohol addiction or smoking as an addiction? Is NLP the form that they use to
So
change?
Exactly. So NLP helps with so many things. It helps with people who are trying to get out of depression or anxiety or stress, even post-traumatic stress disorders,
Yeah.
and even substance misuse.
Okay.
So there are many things that NLP help with because there are techniques in which we can help the clients to just get over that.
Oh, interesting to know. You've got something called as a time paradigm technique. Could you explain to us what that is and how they help your clients?
So, time paradigm, what this means is there are certain clients when they come to me And I think it's important for me to mention as well, as part of Phoenix Method coaching, I've realized that clients need to recover from what they've been going through. So
Yeah.
that could be recover from burnout or trauma. Then they need to build resilience once they have recovered, because they need to know how to cope and
Yeah.
regulate their emotions. And after they know all those things, they are able to reset in their confidence and themselves. Now, what happens with time paradigm is sometimes in the recovery process, certain clients are not able to move forward, or they know what they need to do, they're still unable to do it. So, for example, I had a client who told me, "Yes, I know what I need to do to get that promotion. I know exactly the steps I need to take. I'm just not able to do it."
Mm.
So, after getting into it and understanding where is this coming from, it actually was an emotion that was very strongly rooted in her from one of her past experiences
Okay.
of when her mother fell sick just out of the blue.
Okay.
And at that time, though she was going through the motions of getting the help, getting her to the hospital in time, and everything was fine, like her mom is okay today and is alive and well with us. But at that time, she didn't trust herself in making the right decisions
Okay.
because she went into fear. And at that time, she had decided that I can't trust myself.
I might just make the wrong
I
decision.
might make the wrong decision. I don't know what I'm doing, whatever it is. So that strong emotional charge was still holding her back from doing anything or trying anything new today.
Yeah.
So with time paradigm, what I'm able to take my clients through is pretty much put them in a state of trance where they're just relaxed. And we're going back into these memories, and we're taking only the learnings from the memories and finding ways to cut the emotional charge that these memories hold. So with that, when she came back, she was like, "Oh, I'm not feeling the fear anymore."
Mm.
Okay, great. So who are you if you're not feeling the fear? I can do these things.
Yeah.
And that's how time paradigm helps my clients.
Is that linked to hypnosis? Like you said, you go into a
Mm.
state of trance. Is it similar?
It is similar because I think hypnosis, when a lot of people just hear the words, they hear of, probably a magician they watched when they were kids who put people under hypnosis and make them do crazy
Yeah.
things. Like, oh, I can make this person quack like a duck or,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But it's not fully like that. I mean, there are some things
So you
that they
still make them
use.
do. You still make them quack like a duck.
Trust me, I want to try. But it's not fully like that. Yes, there are some elements that play up for entertainment, but hypnosis ideally is just a way to relax your mind, because sometimes what happens when we're so conscious, there are different states of awareness.
Yeah.
So the state of awareness that you and I are in right now is called the beta state. We know that we're talking to each other. The state where we go into when we're calm, relaxed, or even in a meditative state,
Yeah.
when we're meditating, we go into alpha state. Now, from alpha state, with meditation practice and constant practice of relaxing our mind, we can get into theta state. So there are a
Okay.
lot of people who do theta healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
I've
is
heard
the
that.
level of consciousness that they take you to. And we also have something called delta state, which we achieve only when we are sleeping.
Okay.
So it's always, hypnosis is just helping you relax your mind so that you can get into an alpha or a theta state, depending on how practiced you are in relaxing your mind.
Okay.
And in those states of consciousness, we are able to see more options, if that makes sense.
So when you say see more options, you think me, who's getting hypnotized, would still be able to visualize things
Yes.
at that? Okay.
Yes. And visualizations become more, um, mm, I think, more supercharged in these states. So just think about it. If someone is wearing blinders and saying, "This is the only way for me to go, I have to go straight." But if by going straight, you're hitting a wall,
Mm.
and you still say and be stubborn and say, "No, I just have to go straight, I have to go straight." Coming into an alpha or a theta state in terms of hypnosis or meditation, whatever you want to use, those blinders go away.
Okay.
And then that same person can see doors on the left and on the right. And then they're like, "Oh, I don't need to just go straight and hit my head because I'm getting a headache.
Yeah.
I can go left and use this door, or I can go right and use this door." And that is what it allows you to see.
Very interesting. So not just quacking.
Not just quacking.
You said, it again depends on the person in terms of how they allow their mind to relax and
Mhm.
stuff. So if it's a very, imagine a very like a person with ADHD or something who's very hyper all the time,
Mm.
do they find it more challenging and much, does the process take longer, but do they still achieve that state, or is it that they're hanging somewhere?
Everyone can achieve this state, but it depends on the coach. And with me, when I meet a client, I know exactly which stage they are in. So even in my practice, I understand that that a client goes to 5 journeys. They go through 5 journeys,
Okay.
stages. Sorry. My client goes through 5 different stages.
Okay.
So one is awareness, one is acceptance, then we go to change, then we go to create, and at the end is the transform.
Okay.
So when I meet my client for the first time, I'm able to assess which stage they're in. And from there, I know, do they need time paradigm? Do they need hypnosis? They don't need it. Or if they need it, when is the right time to bring it in?
Okay.
So anyone who even has ADHD or whatever other condition they might have, it might be a longer process, or maybe they don't even need it.
Mm.
So it's not like every client of mine goes through time paradigm. It really depends on what that individual needs.
Okay. So yeah, so it's custom again in terms of
Yes.
what is it they eventually want to achieve, and then accordingly the journey is designed.
Yes.
Amazing. You again have a 3 sense visualization technique.
Mhm.
I read. What is this, and how do you use this method in your coaching sessions?
So 3 scenes is actually a technique that I learned from the Silva method.
Okay.
Now, the Silva method has been around since the 1960s.
Yes.
And Jose Silva, who came up with this method, was trying to just increase the IQ of his children.
Yeah.
And he realized that this technique helps in so many different ways. Now, I know visualization is such an important tool. I mean, professional athletes use it,
Yeah.
and a lot of business people use it as well. And this 3 scenes technique, it's almost like helping someone to take a step back and view what is happening to them. Because it's very useful when it comes to some people feeling that they have too many roadblocks
Yep.
and something is holding them back. So, for example, I had a client who is also in the coaching space, and she's a very, very intelligent lady. And she's so um, ready to take
Mm.
that next step. But something was holding her back where even she didn't know what it was.
Mm.
And then I also had another client who wanted to move countries, but something was holding her back
Yeah.
and she didn't know what. And now, while you're in it and doing life,
Yeah.
you're so caught up in your day to day activities that you don't take a step back to see, oh, what exactly is going on? Because we have to realize that what we do on a daily basis is 95% unconscious,
Okay.
right? And only 5% of it are we conscious about what we're doing. Like, see, today you and I talking on this podcast, I'm conscious about it,
Yeah.
you're conscious
Yeah.
about it, and we know what we're going to talk about. But think about it, from the morning when we wake up, from brushing our teeth to even driving, is such an unconscious act now that, we don't really pay that much attention.
Okay.
So with the 3 scenes technique, what I'm able to do is help them take a step out of their life, watch it as a movie. That's why the name 3 scenes.
Okay.
And from there on, they are able to understand, oh, okay, there's this opportunity that's in front of me, but I'm not able to see it. And what I did with the 3 scenes is I added a couple of elements from my own,
Yeah.
because that personally helped me.
Yeah.
So, this 3 scenes technique also helped me in healing myself from PCOS.
Okay.
So, that's how powerful this 3 scenes technique is, because everything to do with techniques in coaching, there's a lot of neuroscience behind it. There's a lot of quantum physics behind it. So, this 3 scenes, when I'm taking someone through it, I'm really breaking it down and telling them how it is helping us in developing new pathways in our brain. Because even our brain right now, we're using only a small percentage of it. We don't fully understand the power of our brain. So, this 3 scenes technique really just helps us open that up a little bit more.
What about those people who you meet who say they're absolutely brainless? Anyways, but it brings me to this question. You said you cured PCOS with this technique. I really
Mhm.
want to know more on that.
Yes, exactly. I was skeptical when I first learned the technique and everything. I was very skeptical because when they were teaching us the technique, they spoke about how it has healing. Healing is possible. So I said, oh, okay, let me see. And I've had PCOS since I was 13 or
Yeah.
12, whenever I started my menstrual
Yeah.
cycle. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to try healing myself, but I'm going to do it on my skin because I can see it,
Yeah.
right? I can
Correct.
see it's tangible. So I kept trying this technique on and on. And suddenly, I think it took me over a year. And, I just visualized saying, whatever I'm doing, I'm helping my skin. And there's a way to do it. So I'm helping myself, I'm helping my skin, I'm helping my skin. But in that entire time as well, I was taking care of my nutrition, I was taking care of my fitness. I was doing a little bit of seed cycling, which I know was going to
Yeah.
help me with my PCOS condition anyway. So all of those things were happening side by side. And I go for my gynac checkups every year.
Yeah.
Last year in November, when I went, she said, I said, okay, let's see what's happening. Over the years, my fibroids had reduced. Over the years, I had no more cysts or fibroids, but my ovaries were enlarged, so it still kept me under the umbrella of
Mm.
PCOS. Last year, when I went, she was like, "Oh, your ovaries are the right size."
Mm.
Like, what? How is this possible?
Finally.
Finally. But I had started doing this three scenes technique only maybe for a year, you know? So, yes, it takes time. But what happened was I cured myself of the PCOS, hence, my skin got better.
Mm.
So, in a way, I realized that not only does it help, if it needs to heal something, it's going to heal the root of the condition, not the symptom.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that worked for me.
Very, very interesting because I know a lot of people suffer from PCOS and where it takes a big toll on their fertility, which
Yes.
is a big concern in general. I meet a lot of people on that.
Yes.
But
And just to tell you a little bit more about PCOS as well, it is lifestyle based. It is
absolutely.
connected to stress and all of these things. Because one of my clients, she developed PCOS now, recently,
Mm.
because of the stress that she was going through. So she and I had a session where I told her about this, and it's up also on the client to practice it and then believe that it's also
Yeah,
working.
because stress is like one of the biggest secret killer, right? In
Yes.
general, because
Yes.
it has a direct effect on cortisol and then insulin. Then insulin sensitivity, anyways, is the biggest thing for PCOS
Yes.
in general. Of course, you've got an hereditary, then it's slightly challenging. But then again, with the right lifestyle changes, you can
Yes.
have no. You will still will still have PCOS, but without any effects of PCOS.
Yes.
So that
And I think since you brought up something that could be hereditary, in my practice, I believe that you can change those
mm,
things as well.
yeah,
Because there is science that has done studies in how you can change your genome
yeah.
by certain techniques and the way you think. So, yes, that's possible as well.
Oh, interesting. Brings me to one more therapy that you have created, which is the Sea Field Creative Rest Therapy. I already
Yes.
love the name of it.
Thank
What
you.
is this therapy all about?
So this therapy combines visualization and art therapy, and it. I started it off by just combining these two things so that it helps people paint their expression of what they want. And as I started taking this workshop forward, I came across Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith,
Okay.
who has written a book called Sacred Rest. Now, she is a doctor based in the States who had gone through burnout herself, and she realized that one person needs 7 different types of rest.
Wow.
So, in one of those rest techniques is creative rest. Now, what does this mean? For people who are in offices or in entrepreneurship or anything, you are always problem solving. I mean, it doesn't have to be only a professional or an entrepreneur, even homemakers.
Yeah.
Everyone is constantly problem solving or strategizing or innovating for whatever they need in their lives and career. And that takes a lot of your creative energy.
Mm.
That is why sometimes they'll be like, oh, I can't strategize anymore. I can't innovate anymore. I need a break.
Yeah.
So that is where See Feel comes in. Because in this workshop, what I also do is I help them visualize what they need, let their mind take a rest. And when they open their eyes, they are just expressing through paint
Yeah.
or through words. And a lot of the time, even men will tell me, I'm not good at painting. I haven't done this since I was a kid. And I'm like, perfect, let's do this now.
Mm.
Because it's just something so different from your everyday life, and it is creative. So that helps you renew your creative energy. So when you go back into the office or go back into a space, you feel like you can strategize more, problem solve better, and innovate in a different way. And similarly, for people who are in the creative space, for example,
Artist,
artists,
yeah,
designers, sculptors, they are constantly making art, they are
correct.
constantly doing the creation. For them, it's important to take a break and do something else that's completely different. For example, go and view someone else's work, go to
Mm,
an art gallery, view someone else's creativity, or go into nature where you're watching God's creation.
yeah,
And that helps them renew their creative energy as well. So I have done it more for the people who are not creating art in a
yeah,
sense. It's more for just the problem solving, strategizing part of it, helping them do something completely out of their wheelhouse,
yeah.
but helps them in the end.
You spoke about even men who've not painted or
Mm,
stuff like that. Brings me to a very interesting question. Men generally don't ever ask for help or
yeah.
coaching. What's your take on that?
I think that's changing. A lot of that is changing predominantly because the women are changing.
Mm,
The women have started becoming so self aware. They have started asking for help. And in seeing how, in asking help and the help that they receive and how that changes their results, the men are like, I want some of that.
okay.
So I'm seeing a lot of shift in that as well. So yes, I do also coach men, and they are partners of my women clients.
Very good. When I started coaching, I was like, my whole messaging was empowering women. And my husband was like, you sure you want to, narrow it down? I'm like, yeah, yeah. He's like, just try it out. And then when I started my whole brand, my first client was a guy.
Oh.
So that's why I said I wanted to ask, because generally men are like, we know it all. We have got everything sorted. I don't need any help. And when you said when they get into painting, I said I had to ask this
Yes,
question.
yes.
Now, coming back to what is very, very important and close to my heart is women wellness and
Hmm.
empowerment. Um, what are the challenges or common challenges that you've noticed amongst your female clients, and how do your coaching programs address these issues?
That's a very good question. So some of the common problems that I've come across is self sabotage,
Mm,
and that comes from self doubt, feeling not good enough for something. There is also a lot of people pleasing.
yeah,
That's another thing that I come across a lot of, because I don't think it's only women. I think it's in general, but for some reason we are taught to place our value outside of ourselves, and unless someone validates you, you don't feel you're doing it right.
yeah,
So that's a common problem. Another, I wouldn't say it's a problem, but I think it's an interesting thing that I've come across is a lot of women are very self aware. They know exactly what they're doing. And I think after the pandemic, a lot of people have become very self aware, and they're taking their mental health seriously. But they have so much awareness, they don't know what to do after that.
yeah.
So that is also a few of my client type, where they're so aware, but now they don't know what to do with this awareness. Okay, now what do I change?
Mm,
What do I need? So yeah, these I would say are the three things that I see a lot of my clients come with. And then again, we get into a discovery call. So for me to understand where they are at, and then once we do that, for people who are not even aware, I take them through something called the Phoenix Hour, which is a 1 hour session
yeah,
where I give them an assessment of what I feel they're going through. They also tell me what they're going through. I let them know what their strengths and their values are, and I give them immediate action points and long term action points.
okay.
So that gives them a little bit more awareness. After that, they're ready to get into a longer format program. Whereas, I either help them one on one, or they get into a group format
Okay.
where we go through the methods of recovery, resilience, and reset.
Again, brings me, you said, um, every person's issue probably is different, or
Mm,
whichever level they are at. How does then group coaching come into play? How are you able to tweak, say for Gayu is different, or
mm,
for Ryan is different, or for you per se would be different?
yeah.
How does in a group session this individual personalization work?
So, in a group session, first I take very few people in a group. I keep it to 5
Okay.
so that I'm able to give each of them some time.
Yeah.
And what I do tell them is, you have 5 minutes to share or ask me questions related to you.
Okay.
Some people just want to stay quiet because
Mm.
they are not ready to share. And I think that's why a group session also works for some people, because they are like, I don't want so much attention on me,
Mm.
but I want to do something different.
True.
So that group session works for people like them as well. And just for them to realize that, oh, other people are going through what I'm going through, because some people still feel they're alone
Yeah.
in feeling how they're feeling. So coming into a group session gives them that comfort, knowing that other people are also going through what I'm going through. And it kind of starts like a bond,
Yeah.
whereas probably their personal friends may not know what they're going through, or may not be able to or equipped to help them.
Yeah.
So in this way, they find like their tribe and community as well.
Yeah. Also, sometimes not knowing somebody also helps, right, in talking about what you're going through.
Yes.
Then with
Yes.
someone who, I think, with the whole thing of judgment and
Yes. Yes. It is more objective. Yes.
yeah. Because I remember I was speaking to somebody recently, and um, outside the world on social media, that the lady was all like, "Ooh, I am having the best time of my life," and she was going through menopause herself.
Okay.
She's having the best time of her life, and I'm doing all of this. And then I ended up having a chat with somebody who knew her, and the person is like, "No, that's the exact opposite of what she's actually going through."
Oh no.
So it's what you want to show and
Yes.
what you sometimes are hiding.
Yes.
I think when you don't know somebody, it's much more easier to
Yeah.
speak whatever you want to speak
Yes.
than knowing somebody. I think it's
Yes.
just the whole
Yes.
judgment thing that comes into play.
Exactly. And I think clients, the way they learn is different, which I'm able to understand as well when I meet them on a discovery call. Some people prefer one-on-one sessions, private sessions, so that they can deep dive into what they want to.
Yeah.
So yeah, people are different.
Yeah, I think that's true. Um, Going back to the 3 sense visualization, I know we spoke about it in terms of how you made some people step back to
Mhm.
take a look. Um, how can be particularly empowering for women, and what kind of outcomes have you observed?
So some of the let me just dive in straight into the
Okay.
outcomes that I
Okay.
have seen, right? So some clients have received jobs in different countries, they have moved countries, they have gotten the jobs of their dreams. Some people have even realized what step they need to take.
Okay.
So it starts off with something even as small as just feeling free and feeling like, oh, okay, I don't have to stress so much. I can relax because I know what to do now.
Mm.
And some people have really manifested big moves and shifts for themselves. So this technique really helps in so many different ways. I told you, for me, it also helped in healing
Yeah.
myself. So it's really on what they need, and coupled with how to understand what they need, really
Yeah.
gives them the result they want.
You spoke about another very happening word, manifesting.
Yes.
I had to ask you, when people say manifesting, there's so many different ways of manifesting, and some people talk about visualization, or some people talk about writing, and now you're talking about stepping back and trying to look at different possibilities. Is this sort of manifestation realm, or is there some aspect of it?
I think everything is connected.
Okay.
And I take a manifestation workshop in which I teach the 3 scenes technique as well. And what happens in that is I am combining so many different forms of science. So one thing we need to understand is quantum physics itself has stated that everything in this universe is energy.
Yep.
So we have energy, this mic that we're speaking into has energy, the chair has energy, so many things. What makes it different, excuse me, what makes it different is for us to know how we can elevate our energy and what is draining our energy. Sorry, I'm just going to drink some water. So in manifestation, what we focus on is understanding what exactly are we looking to manifest. So we need a clear intention, and then we need to know how to elevate our energy. So I also help them find out what is their manifestation energy.
Okay.
Because the world and the energies of the universe will give you what you're asking for. So if someone is in a state of stress and they're like, oh my God, I don't want to lose my job, I don't want to lose my job, the universe is listening to you, that person, and saying, oh, okay, but you like being in stress because you're in it all the time. Let me give you more of it.
Okay.
Similarly, now if we know that if this is how it's working, then we understand, okay, what do we want to focus on? Let's, instead of focus on what we don't want,
Yep.
let's focus on what we do want.
Yep.
And change that and understand what is the energy that goes behind it. And then the universe is like, oh, okay, I heard you. Let's give you more of this.
Okay.
So that is what I feel manifestation really is. It's a culmination of how we are using quantum physics, how we are changing the neuroplasticity by changing our focus on what we really want, and then also adding this technique in which it kind of helps you take a step back to understand the different options that may be available to you.
Yep.
And all that together manifests what you want.
If it was that easy, why is not everyone doing it?
That's a good question, because there are patterns and we're very good at being in self-sabotage patterns.
Okay.
And a lot of people see these days, if they don't see it, they don't believe it. Right? So that's what it is. And they're so used to being so cynical that they have to start seeing others who are practicing this getting results, and then they're like, oh, okay, I think it works because it's happened for a few of them. So they go from cynicism to being skeptical about it.
Yeah.
And when they're skeptical about it, they're like, okay, let me try it out. And then if they practice that enough, they're like, oh, okay, it's working. And that's how they change into optimistic beings. But it's just about if they want to, if they're exposed to it.
I'm going to ask you another question on this. Is it, are the results very quick on manifestation, or is it that it takes time? And is it because if it does take time, is it because it's not very instant or not very short term, results that I get? Is it that reason people might stop doing it because they're not seeing it?
Yes, I think let's be honest. Today, everything is instant gratification, right? So people's attention span is so short.
Yeah.
So when I get into this manifestation workshops, I've had so many people. Like one person who's a designer, she told me, "I want to have a shop." I'm like, "Amazing, great.
Yeah.
You know what you need to do to get that shop. What exactly are you in this workshop for?" So they have to start getting clarity on what is a milestone and what is a manifestation. Getting a shop, then taking that shop to 2 shops, moving that into a distribution channel or whatever they want to do. What are you manifesting? Your manifestation is always much bigger than your milestones.
Okay.
If this designer said, I don't know what my next step is, and then we get into this workshop and she realizes through the clarity and everything that, oh, she needs a shop, then that is her result of manifestation. But if she already knows I need to do X, Y, and Z, but she doesn't know what more to do after that, then we get into the clarity of what that manifestation is. So that really establishes the timeline of how you see these results. So yeah, but I really need to tell people that you can't put pressure on manifestations. It doesn't work like that. Because the good thing about manifestation is you need to believe from today that it's happening. Oh, I want this designer shop for myself. Go about it like as if it's already happening.
I was just going to ask you this. This thing about manifestation is what they say, that behave as if you already own it. Isn't it sometimes challenging from a human perspective? That imagine you're in like a dire situation where you can't even pay the bills for this month, but behaving as if you have a bank balance which is $1 million. How do you inculcate such a sense of strong feeling in somebody where they walk the world saying that, $1 million, no problem. I have got that in my bank.
Yeah. I think in this instance, you have to look at that person who is always looking at what is their state right now. If it's 10 dirhams in the bank, and you'll see that the person acts like there's 10 dirhams in the bank.
Yeah.
Their body language is low, they're stressed all the time, they're looking older, they have no energy. Where is that going to take them? And they would have tried their best, because that's also how burnout happens. They're pushing through it, but they're still focusing on only having that much in the bank. So let's play and try something different. And let's see what happens, right? So in that mode of playing and trying something different, just for the sake of trying something different, let's assume that you have so much in the bank that you can get whatever you want. Then see how the body language changes. Then see how they show up for themselves, how they portray themselves, how they walk into the room. The energy is different. And again, quantum science is that everything around us is energy, and the universe gives you what energy you want and you portray. So why not portray that you already have it?
Interesting. One more question
Of course.
on that. They say, talking about new moon and the full moon, they say manifestation during these days is far more intense. Is that true? Is it because the energies are higher? Just want to have your take on that.
I'm sure it is what you're saying. I don't fully know that concept, but yes, I think it is the new moon. So the energies are much stronger. And someone told me that 2024 is a great year for manifestation because it's something is changing.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know well enough. And that is why, even from the beginning of this year, I said, oh, okay, if that is true, let me do these manifestation workshops throughout the year.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that. I've been taking these workshops twice in a month since January, and it's helping people. So I'm like, okay, there is a connection for sure. Everything around us is energy, so there is a connection for sure.
So we just missed out on 6 months. We got 6 months to go.
Yes. Let's focus on what we have, the 6
Correct.
months.
Like you said, don't think about what you've lost. Think about what you have in front of you.
Yes.
Amazing. Coming back to women, women face significant transition. Motherhood is a big thing. Career changes, or even for the fact menopause. It's a big change. How do your coaching techniques help navigate women during these big changes in life?
Yeah. So change is the only thing that's constant, and it's forever happening. And the time we resist this change, that is when coaching really helps. Because if change is continuous and things around you are changing, some elements of you have to change as well.
True.
Be it motherhood, be it just within your career, be it just within your relationship, changes happen and you need to change along with it. It's when some women say, okay, I know changes are happening, but I'm still who I am. I will still continue to do this. That is when there's resistance. And the possibilities of what that next thing could be, that is where fear of uncertainty comes in.
Okay.
And getting over that and getting excited about the next phase by trusting themselves that no matter which situation you're put in, you will figure it out.
And you'll still be you.
And you will still be you.
Yeah.
You'll be a better version of you. You'll become the phoenix version of you.
Yeah.
So that is what I help with in these transitional phases for women.
Very, very interesting. You spoke about the whole recovery, resilience, and reset method. Again, bringing back to women, how does that help build mental health resilience? Because I think women with their stresses, I think it goes hand in hand.
Yes.
I don't know why, but it does. So how does this whole method help in building the mental stability and emotional strength?
That is what my entire journey is about, is for everyone to understand that all emotions are good. I remember I had a client who had a lot of anger, and we went through so many things. I even tried doing timeline with her and it wasn't working out. And it all came down to her saying, I cannot be angry. I don't accept being angry. It's wrong to feel anger. And that's when I realized, oh my God, she's resisting feeling certain emotions. So I think what is important to understand is that all emotions are good for us. Now, what happens is staying excess of anything is not good.
Yeah.
Right? So, for example, when you know you're eating excess junk food, you know that's not good for your body.
Correct.
At the same time, if you're going to work out extensively,
Again,
that
that's
also is not
true.
good for your body. Similarly, with emotions. Just think about it. A lot of us would say when we're in a fun state or we're having fun, we're like, oh, I hope this never ends.
Yeah.
Right? Somehow, when it comes to happy emotions like that, we know that there is an end in sight. It is for a finite amount of time. However, when it comes to negative emotions, we forget this concept.
Yeah.
We're like, it's going to go on and on and on forever. That is when it's important for us to realize that even negative emotions have a finite amount of time. So it is understanding how to get yourself off that negative emotion, come into a more neutral zone to then be able to experience the next emotion. So that is what my coaching journey is about. And that helps them regulate themselves and really just be okay emotionally.
I like how you put that whole fact. That's true. I've never thought about it. Say, when you're happy, you always have a time bound to it and things like that. Very nice. In what ways, or any specific advice or techniques you offer to women to achieve, a balance, equilibrium in their work-life balance? Because, like you said, women always are trying to thrive, always trying to achieve, overachieve, actually. Forget the word achieve, overachieve. What is the advice that you give them?
Thank you so much for asking me this question. The advice is forget balance.
Okay.
And look for harmony. Okay. And the best way for me to explain what this is about is we've all been to the doctors, right? And when you are strapped into a heart rate monitor and your heart is beating, how are the lines going in that monitor? Can you tell me how are the lines going?
Maybe faster. I'm probably anxious about what is happening.
But
Maybe.
how do you see the line moving on the monitor?
I've actually never looked at it, to be honest.
Oh, okay. All right. So on the heart rate monitor, when your heart is beating, the dot on the monitor goes up and it goes down. It goes up and it goes down. It goes up and it goes down. This signifies we are alive.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when someone is talking about balance, what I understand is they're looking to do this much time for their work, this much time for their personal life, this much time for socializing, and they want to keep this time allocation for all of these things, right? So, and also when you think about the word balance,
It's a straight line.
It's
Like,
a straight line.
Yeah.
Now, on that same heart rate monitor,
You're
when you
dead.
see the straight line, it means you're dead.
Yeah.
Right? So, if anything is to be learned by this, is that life is happening by going up and down. So let's forget about balance, which is a straight line, and embrace harmony. There are some days where you will be able to spend time with your children or socialize or have more time for your personal life. But there might be days where you have to put that extra time in towards your work or whatever else it may be.
Yeah.
So, and be okay with that. And understand that it's always quality over quantity.
Yeah.
So
Very nice.
Harmony versus balance.
I like. It's probably good. Very, 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 very good way of putting that through. Coming back to hypnosis, right? I think I'll always remember squatting. How effective is hypnosis in addressing issues commonly faced by women, like anxiety, low self-esteem, or even past trauma, which you spoke about?
I think, like we've discussed it before, it's hypnosis is just a way of relaxing the mind because normally, especially in cases of anxiety, some people, and I've seen this in a couple of clients, they go into a spiral. They go into a spiral of what's not working and how that will continue to not work. And because it's continuing to not working, pandemonium is happening. And that spiral can go on and on and on and on, and it can go on and on for days.
Okay.
So through hypnosis or through just relaxing your mind, and that is why a lot of people talk about meditation as well, it is just to get into a more calmer state of mind, because a lot of the times anxiety also means you are not listening to what you need to listen to. And meditation sometimes allows you to listen to those thoughts, because thoughts are like children, they just need attention.
Okay.
And they want to talk.
Yeah.
And once they finish their talking, they're done. And they move away and they've gone. And you get your peace of mind again. So sometimes you have to think of anxiety and, things like that. Just calm down, allow it to talk. At some point, it will get tired and to go away.
Just wait for the time for it.
Just wait. And that is also a way of processing and processing your emotions and regulating it.
I love the way you put certain, you associated things. I really, really like that.
Thank you.
Do you offer workshops specifically to target, any women's issues? And if you do, what are the topics that you cover? And how do they cater to the unique needs of women?
Okay. Yes, I do have a couple of workshops. currently I'm working with communities, and for their communities, what is needed. One is about women going back into the workplace. So I have a reset workshop, which helps them gain clarity as to, okay, which field do I want to get back into? Is it what I already have experience in? Or I don't have any experience. I want to do something, but I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps them reset their mindset and gain more clarity into what they want to do next. So one is a reset workshop. Another one that I do, and especially for women, is a money mindset
Wow, I like
workshop.
the name already.
Because everyone has their own relationship with money. Some of them are complicated,
Mm.
but everyone wants to make money. And
Sure.
money at the end of the day is energy. So I do a workshop with the women on what that is for them. And yeah, so I do that. I do my manifestation workshop, which is happening twice a year as well. So right now it's just these three workshops that I do.
Again, I like certain things that you speak. You spoke about money mindset program,
Mhm.
and you spoke about women's association with money.
Mhm.
Is the association with money a good association, or does it have its own, bad stuff associated with it?
I mean, honestly, to each their own. But what I have commonly seen is a lot of people attach their self worth
Mm.
in terms of money. And I know I had this, when I was taking a break from my corporate life. For so many years, I was making my own money.
Yeah.
I had my salary coming in. I didn't have to ask my husband for anything. I had financial independence.
Yes.
When I stopped, and after some time, my savings went dry,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, now what do I bring to the table?
Mm.
For some reason, I had attached my identity to how much
Money.
money I was bringing in.
True.
So that is something that needs to be worked on, because that is not a healthy attachment.
Yeah.
We all want to make more money. We want to see abundance. We want to see success. But that has nothing to do with your self worth. It will come once you know your own self worth. I think I came across this reading this quote somewhere where it said that the mind says things need to fall in place before I feel okay. But
Mm.
the soul says I need to feel okay in order for things to fall in place. So that is what money mindset is also about.
No, the reason I have this, what you spoke is exactly what I went through, and I probably still go through. But I said, that's why I said I had to ask this question, because I'm sure a lot of women have the same association when they say, what do I bring in on the
Yes,
table?
yes,
But yeah, you bring in lots of stuff. You bought the children.
yes. I mean, there's so many things, but then how is that connected to money?
Yeah.
Okay, and now what do we want our mindset to be? So yeah.
Retirement.
Mm.
Yeah, I know we're moving from lots of things into retirement, but retirement is a major transition with its unique challenges. How do you prepare your older female clients for this phase of life?
Mhm.
It kind of is a good lead on question to this whole money mindset, where at some point you're going off the whole work, and
Yeah.
and then saying, finally I'm going to sit in the morning, I don't have a meeting at 9 o'clock, I'm going to have a cup of tea quietly. How easy is it for women to accept this transition? And I'm sure that that's where you help them ease into this transition.
Yes,
Right?
yes. Honestly, this part of my coaching is still very new.
Hmm.
And it came about because I was talking to my client whose mother is getting ready for retirement.
Okay.
So, in that conversation, where she was asking me, how can I help her? We were having this conversation, and let's look at what are those fears are, right? One is attaching your identity to the job you do.
Correct.
So that means now if I don't have this job, who am I? So there's one of that. There's more of, okay, how long can I take care of myself? And then who else needs to take care of me financially, emotionally, all of those things? How relevant am I going to be?
Okay.
Because my job kept me relevant because I had to be in touch with whatever is happening now
Yeah.
to innovate. But now without it, how relevant will I be? So all of these things, and I'm sure many, many more, are fears when it comes to leaving one version of yourself.
Yeah.
So it's just about understanding, okay, where are you right now? Accepting that and accepting what all you have achieved and how you're going to go into your golden era with that,
Mm.
and how that will still keep you relevant. So, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Again, it brings me, my father is a workaholic. I think that's,
Mm.
it's embedded in me and my sister in general. But my dad's just turned 70 and he's still working. Like he has his
Mm.
own business and stuff and he's still working and he still travels and he's but very proud of what he does.
Yeah.
So probably he is someone who's not ready to accept the fact that what is my identity post,
Yes.
me
Yes.
stop, once I stop
Yes.
working. It's probably he just doesn't want to be known as a grandfather anymore. I mean, just as a grandfather. But
Yeah.
I think he probably needs to see you.
Yeah. Yes. And you've really struck something here, because as women, we take on so many roles, right? So yes, we like our careers, but we're also mothers. We also take care of the home, and we take care of community and family and so much that we do. Whereas men, and pretty much maybe the older generation, were always told to work.
Yeah.
And so now their identity is their work. Even though they are fathers, they are grandfathers, they contribute to society, but their attachment of their identity is so towards what they do. That is why today, when someone is introducing themselves, or when someone asks you the question, what do, you go straight to work.
Yeah.
Right? So I think men find it a little bit more hard, because, yes, even when they become fathers, they're still at the office much sooner than the mothers.
Yeah.
We go through maternity leave, we have to get our head around the diapers to get into something else. So, we still know, okay, what we can do if we don't have a job.
Mm.
But the men have not taken that time. So sometimes it's a little harder for them.
Yeah. Um, as an advocate for personal reinvention, which you totally represent, what message do you have for women who feel stuck or overwhelmed by their current circumstances?
Just do it. And when I talk about personal reinvention, let me start with the career side first, right? I moved from fashion retail into becoming a coach. I studied fashion, but right now I'm studying something else.
Yeah.
And I think where not the fear is in the uncertainty, in the not knowing what would I be without this.
Mm.
And that is where all the feeling of stuck happens. And I think pretty much in my own case, I probably stopped enjoying my fashion career way before than I was ready to admit it, because I didn't know what else I would do or who I would be without it.
Mm.
So I guess I stayed there longer than I really needed to. But when I went through my burnout and when I was recovering from it, I realized I have such an excitement and such a passion for coaching.
Mm.
And now I continuously learn more modalities, I continuously learn newer things, and increasing my levels in my coaching as well. And that excites me.
Yeah.
And what excites you sustains you.
True.
So making that shift, reinventing yourself, is still possible when you know what is exciting you. So yeah, I that's all it is.
Very, very. I mean, like I said, if people ask me what did I study to what I am doing currently, again, very, very different. I'm a chef by
Yes.
profession. I've worn so many hats in my life, but then but I think like you mentioned, I think coaching is the calling for me as well, and just trying to let women know all the possible ways that they can help themselves,
Yes,
and
yes.
support them.
And I think what is important to know in the reinvention phase as well is that all your experiences still help you.
Yeah.
So even for me, when I'm working with clients, especially with women who want to present themselves in a certain way, my fashion knowledge comes into play. So sometimes they'll ask me, oh, what should I wear for an interview? Or what should I do this? And then we sit and talk about it. And right now I'm able to give them a little bit more insight
Yeah.
and create a style for them versus what I used to do earlier, saying this is the trend and this is what you need to buy.
Yeah.
So everything helps. I'm sure even you, with your being a chef.
Food is I think all my conversations start with food and it ends with food. So yeah, food's my biggest passion.
Exactly. And food is such an intrinsic part of holistic healing.
Yeah.
So it's, see, you're still using it,
Yeah.
but just in a different way, which is exciting you more.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Probably the reason I left kitchens was because I was not cooking anymore. I was more as a manager. I had a big team, but
Yeah.
I was not cooking. And I think not being able to do what I really
Yes.
wanted to do was probably the reason I said, I just want to take a break and
Yes.
move out.
Yes.
And I started teaching kids becoming chefs. So it was all, at least somewhere association was there with food. And, that's always been
Yes.
big part of me.
Yes. So see, there you go. You realized why that initial career didn't work, but you've still held on to it and brought it in a new light.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So now I cook.
You reinvented it.
Yeah, now I cook and everyone eats, which I love. Um, Coming back to Phoenix Method coaching, what future developments do you envision for your coaching practice? Are there any new programs or techniques? I know you've got a big long list already, but are there any new programs or techniques you plan to introduce?
Yes. And oh my gosh, it took me some time to gather my excitement because I'm a very creative person, and having Phoenix Method coaching, which I lovingly call PMC, I've come up with so much to do with it. That is why it took me some time, and now I know that the methods that I help clients with is recovery, resilience, and reset. The journey that I take them through is the ACT,
The A.C.T, which
the
you mentioned.
ACT,
Yeah.
which is the 5 stages to self development.
Yeah.
Now, within these, the opportunities are limitless. So, for PMC, I see it growing into a much bigger company.
Mm.
I don't want to get into too much details because I don't know myself, but I have very big dreams for it.
But you manifested it.
I have already manifested it for sure. And me personally, I like getting into energy healing. And there is one person I want to study under in the States. So I'm hoping to do that sometime in the future and bring that down for my clients as well. So I'm excited about that. So a lot of stuff which is around energy healing and just helping people reinvent themselves and become better versions of their older selves. So yeah.
Amazing. We wish you all the best for that.
Thank you so much.
But before we go, we've got a special segment. I love to call it the 1%.
Ah.
This podcast is 99% about, the conversations are all about women and for women and how do we empower women. But we all know that men are a part of this journey too.
Mm-hmm.
Can you leave us or leave the listeners with your 1% advice for the men in their lives?
Mm-hmm.
What can men do better to better understand and support the women in their lives?
Wow. You've put me on the spot there. I think open conversations. I think what is important, and this is what I do with my couples, is holding space for each other. In a relationship, it's important to know that your partner is accepting of you, even if they don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But just holding that space for each other is so healing because there's no judgment there, there's only acceptance.
Mm.
And there's that space where you can say whatever you want, even if they don't understand it, explain it. It's a no judgment zone.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing that men and women can do for each other, not only in their relationships, even if you look at it in a professional setting between a man and a woman, just say, okay, you know what? I need some time where we're having this space where we're not judging each other. Let's just see where this can go.
Okay.
And talk about whatever may be the topic that they need to discuss. Mostly it's conflict resolution.
Yeah.
So, it's about just having that space where like, okay, let's just talk about whatever's on our mind, not judging,
Yeah.
and just giving that space to each other. I think that opens up so much because today there's such a big cancel culture. If you don't say the right thing, you're canceled. If you don't say the right thing, you're not woke enough, or I don't know what the latest word is for
Yeah.
it. But no one's having a discussion. Everyone is attacking or being defensive. No one's having a discussion. So just holding space allows for that discussion to happen.
Very nice. Thank you. We love that 1% advice to the men.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for today's show. I hope you had an amazing time and start manifesting. That is your key for today. Until next time, why pause? Let's play.